big, exciting thing about to happen.
Hi, I'm Aladino, and together with my wife Maya, we are refitting a Cape George Cutter 36. There is a lot happening in this week's episode, but we'll start off with where we left off last week. So last week we had a crane to bring the engine into the boat. It was super exciting, and I'm glad that it all went super smoothly and the engine is now in the boat. But not everything was smooth.
Okay, think of all your worst swear words and say them out loud now, because it is appropriate.
You may remember that I made a coupling installation tool. I wanted to have all of the drivetrain components in place before the engine went in, because it's a lot easier to work in there at the aft components before I have to crawl over the engine. But I didn't manage to get everything installed yet. The coupling didn't quite go on, so we had the date with the crane, so the engine had to come in. But for now it's resting in the galley. And the goal is to install the coupling, continue where I've left that off, to then slide the engine back to where it actually belongs.
We successfully put on the coupling now. We only did this as a test run because it's going to be very confined space in there. So as you can see, this is an old coupling clamping onto the shaft, and then we needed to make a washer that is the same diameter as the new coupling, and then the threaded rods help us in getting purchase to get the coupling screwed on. So it was very fiddly, took a lot of force.
It fights you the whole way. It's a very, very tight fit. It's an interference fit of I don't know how many pounds.
Yeah,
very tight.
Half a turn on every nut, and then this one, and this one, and then this one, and yeah, we've been doing this for hours.
You can see the split in the new coupling, and that part, once we got it on, was going relatively quick, but as soon as we got onto the part that was solid, it was definitely fighting us the whole way. It's on there very tight. I know couplings that I work with on bigger shafts, they use hydraulics to do this work.
Indeed, our setup is much better now. This works quite all right.
Famous last words, saying that something is working before it's actually finished.
Unfortunately, the day didn't end well. You saw me try to attempt to put the coupling on last, and then it didn't work, and then we went home disappointed. No, we're big boys, not that disappointed. We just started to plan how to actually make it work. So the problem that we ran into is that our tool started to slip. So instead of pulling the coupling on, we were pulling our device off. And then we were a little perplexed because we had tested this whole scenario on the bench first, and it had worked. And we came to the conclusion that it was because we had our device clamped onto the vise, which additionally clamped it on to the shaft, and that prevented it from actually slipping. So then we took it off, which took forever, and that really lowered my spirits. It's great that we have the tool to install it and the tool to remove it, but it's just a frustrating process. It takes so long. Took it off, and then we went home to think about it. We then measured things, we checked specifications of force fit on various sites, we came up with an alternate plan because we had gotten really close to having the coupling in. Only 3/4 inch was missing, and that's at the part where the coupling is not split, of course. So then I grabbed some wet sandpaper, took as much off as I could, which is not much at all, so not to worry. And then we added a set screw onto our installation tool. So it's clamped on, but now with the set screw, that really held it in place. And even though I was not in the best spirit today and I didn't feel like going to work, I came here and I thought, well, let's give it a try. And it worked. So I'm back at it. I'm installing the rest of the components. So after putting the coupling on yesterday, now I continued with the thrust bearing, which is the part that actually bolts to the bulkhead. Pretty exciting, but yeah, I'll be back there, just putting on one component after the other. I've got all the components together now, so next is putting a 2x4 or bigger over the companionway opening here to strap the engine again, lift it up and bring it back into position. I'll release this and tighten here.
Is this how Stonehenge was made?
Finally, the drivetrain was complete and we could slide the engine aft to where it belongs. But there's lots more to do in this week's episode, and Maya's gonna kick it off with a brand new feature.
So these are the cabinet doors. These have sort of been slow in production, obviously not priority number one. My dad made them, dropped them off on the boat quite a while ago. I've been slow to varnish them, but they're all varnished now. With my classic combo, of course, you all know by now, the PP Extra with the Rub Defect Epifanes over top for that nice soft glow. So I get to install them now. Now it's not going to be final install because Aladino needs to put the latches on and stuff, but first thing will be figuring out the jigsaw puzzle because Aladino had written which door goes where, but then of course when I did the varnishing I had to erase that so that it wasn't permanently inscribed on the door, so it's gonna be a second to figure out how they all fit again, but we'll get there. I'm so happy to see these doors go in place. They are a truly collaborative effort. Aladino made the frames on at least one of them. The other three, the frames were already with the boat, but we, sanded them and spruced them up a bit. The Alaska Yellow Cedar was thanks to our patron Kim on the Sunshine Coast, and it's got this really beautiful story behind it. Kim's grandfather chopped it down, I believe, and it's been seasoning for a really, really long time. So it's a real privilege to get to use this old growth Alaska Yellow Cedar that's sort of a part of the history of the place where I grew up. So that's really cool. My dad, of course, actually used the yellow cedar to create these beautiful interior panels, and I finished it off with the varnish and now the final installation, and I'm really glad to have them here. I love how they look, and I know that I will love how they look even more when not surrounded by tools and extension cords, but rather by books and nice lighting. That's still all to come. Meanwhile, outside, Aladino was working on another very visually exciting project.
The bowsprit is an integral part of a cutter rig, but it's also going to make a pretty spectacular platform to see the world rush past and maybe have some accompaniment of dolphins right underneath you. But enough dreaming. Back to the head. Last thing I did here was glassing the shower pan. Now this morning I have sanded it in preparation for primer. But first I want to glue in the other components. That is the floor where our toilet will go on, and then the shelf behind it. So I will put in these components now.
Okay, so for the first time in a long time, the floor is uncovered. It's been covered with cardboard pretty much this entire refit, but this is what we got when we bought the boat. This is sort of the one area where we haven't touched the floor. And as you can see, this section of floor was never finished with anything. It's just bare. So I'm going to try to give it a light sanding because as you can see, it's very dirty. It's got some paint on it. That's our fault. But I do have to be really careful here because it's a very thin veneer, so I really cannot sand through it. So I'm going to be using the Mirka and a really fine grit CS sandpaper and just go very carefully, paying very close attention. The pieces that I can remove from the boat, the hatches, I will remove. It'll be easier to do those down on the table separately. All right, let's go. Little backstory, yeah, so all the varnish that we've done on the boat, you've heard me say it a million times now, I'll say it again. It's a combination of Epiphanis PP Extra Varnish, which is a rapid coat build-up 2-part varnish that I use, 4 coats on approximately. And then I finish it off with the Epiphanis Rubbed Effect, which just gives it the beautiful soft glow that you see on all of our interior woodwork. Now, it was kind of our fault that when I did the galley counters, I just went with what we know. I went with our varnish system that I know produces beautiful results and works really well. And while that varnish system is beautiful and does work well, it is not designed for really hard wearing areas like floors and like countertops. So this specifically is the piece that goes over our engine room. It's the piece that you step onto whenever you come in and out of the boat. And I was noticing already there was scratches being put into it. So I started doing a bit more research, and I should have, again, done this beforehand. But I did realize that Epiphanis also has a polyurethane 2-part clear gloss and also a polyurethane 2-part satin finish. So that is a lot more hard wearing. It's got a bit more UV resistance, and it's a lot better for floors and countertops, really hard wearing areas. So I decided to actually sand off the rubbed effect that I had on this piece, and I put the PU clear gloss over top. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. The PU varnish was easy to work with. You never quite know with a new product how it's going to feel, how it's going to flow, but excellent results. Definitely come to expect that from Epifanis now. Like, all their products seem to just work the way you want them to. And yeah, second coat goes on today.
Okay, let's try this. So the chain plate installation has been a long time coming, but a couple of episodes back now I have put in G10 backing plates where they will go. Then I had to wait for the fasteners, which now have arrived, and then we got sidetracked by exciting engine lifting into place. But now I'm ready for the final installation. Want a single Wasser.
Not one single Wasser?
Not a single Wasser.
Not a single Wasser shall get in then. But washers are okay, just not Wasser.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Boat building 101.
Thread locker, a little bit of thread locker.
Aladino,
Yes?
how does it feel to put on the chain plates?
Wow.
Wow.
Amazing. Well, I wanted to do this months ago, but I'm doing it now.
It was hard to find. It was really hard to find the right
Yeah.
fasteners, hey?
Totally.
I'm glad we finally found a source.
Oh no, who's gonna hold the bolt from the outside?
Do you want me to go out there?
Tricked you.
What?
It's a carriage bolt.
Oh.
Nobody needs to hold it.
Wonderful.
I appreciate your willingness to help. Chain plates are on. I think they look great. I have to do a little bit of cleanup, take away the squeeze out butyl, and also I'll be coming back tomorrow, compress it a little further. With butyl, it compresses slowly over time, so you can always take up a little bit of slack on the bolts. But now we can move on to the next mission, which is the rub rail. All right, now it's really starting to come together and look good. I love the look of the new chain plates together with the rub rail and the bowsprit and the platform, the pulpit. Yeah, yep, she's a beauty. What a week, we got a lot done. The rub rail and the chain plates are in place and the engine is no longer taking up space in the galley, but it is where it belongs. The floorboards are looking beautiful, and so do the cabinet doors. And also the bowsprit is looking really nice in its place with all the hardware that is going onto it.
Huge thank you for being here and for watching. We do read all the comments, so let us know what you think about the episode in the comments. We love to read them and we reply to some as well when we've got some time. We've got a lot of things on our plate, but we're making good progress. Extra big thank you to the folks whose names are now appearing on screen, and a really, really, really big thank you, as always, to all of our patrons for making this all possible. If you'd like to sign up as to patron for as little as $2 to $3 a month, you can do so, and that's what keeps this channel alive. It's what allows us to be sponsor free, so we don't have to read ads to you. We're so grateful for the support we receive on Patreon, and in return we provide real-time, behind-the-scenes updates published only on Patreon, never anywhere else. Just a bit of a walkthrough or a written update of what's going on that week, so you know what's happening in real time. You can get invitations to come to the boat in person, and yeah, lots of things on Patreon. So huge thanks everyone, and we'll see you as always next Friday.